Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. If you could take your seats. My name's Rob Stephen. I'm president of E-cigre. And I'll just introduce a few points around E-cigre and where we're going as far as our strategy is concerned. We would have noticed that our industry is changing and the global power system actually is transforming. We used to be a generator transmission distribution company, so your power would normally flow from this type of equipment through some majestic transmission lines into some not so majestic substations, and then into the distribution environment. However, what we are finding now is that we are leading into generation being placed at any point in the value chain between the generator transmission to the distribution and beyond the meter within distribution. Different types of inverter-based resources or renewables. And we prefer the term inverter-based because renewables can be synchronous and inverter-based, but these here are inverter-based. And different, really large PV farms where in the past it was thought we might have all the generation on rooftop. We're now finding grid scale inverter-based generation to be extremely viable, as we can see here. So never before has our highly diverse informed knowledge been needed more than now, because we have an enormous amount of issues relating to this change. And the beauty about E-cigre is that somewhere in the world someone has a solution to the problem you have or is working on that solution. And E-cigre aims to get the two together, find the solution, and send it to the rest of the members. So from a E-cigre point of view, we need to appeal to a much wider and more diverse audience of people and organizations. So in the last 2 years, we've looked at what we were, International Council on Large Electric Systems, and we thought, is that still valid going forward? And we've agreed to change it to just E-cigre. And E-cigre is a foremost global community for collaborative development and sharing of power system expertise. You might say it's an expert community, but not all members of E-cigre are experts. Some of them are experts in training. So I'd like to introduce then the new logo, which some of you may have noticed on the banners, slightly evolved. And the reason for that was really to fit into the modern platforms such as mobile phones. And the tagline is for power system expertise. So I'd like to welcome you to the world of E-cigre for power system expertise. Thank you. So welcome to the Paris session, number 47. As we just go a little bit further, just to share a few things with you, we've unfortunately had some really great E-cigres that have passed on, and we'd just like to share those with you. I would now like to just highlight some of the highlights within E-cigres since the last session. This is the membership, which seems to be growing. We've got the online library and bookstore, and this is a new E-cigre platform, and all references older than 3 years are free to download. And those others, you have to be, those that are younger than 3 years, of course, you need to be a member or pay a fee. There's new green books, and these green books are compiled from brochures which are in existence, but we've compiled them together and put them into a book so that you can use this as a detailed reference book for various topics. There's also the E-cigre Science and Engineering, which is a peer-reviewed magazine, and it is free to publish in this and also free to download. And these have some of the best papers that we have from conferences, as well as from our young engineers and academics who have published in this work. Then looking at the E-cigre strength is really our working groups. And those that are here for the first time might think this is one conference. It's actually 16 conferences, with each study committee most probably having at least 2 meetings. And then most probably, as you can see, each of the 232 working groups would have met somewhere around this week. So you're looking at around 4,000 experts from 72 countries, all solving problems related to our industry. We published 41 technical brochures in 2017, and we developed 60 tutorials in 2017. What's new in this session? We've got 16 study committee tutorials, which we introduced. There's an electronic format for poster sessions, so no longer paper. You can rate the sessions online via the app. The one thing that's quite important is that we've got real-time information on the progress of the particular session, so you can see exactly which questions are coming up. So if you've got 2 parallel sessions, you can use the app to say, I need to go from B1 to B2 or something like that. So you'll know exactly what's happening at what time. The other event we have introduced is a CEO event, Chief Executive Officer, where we will hold it tomorrow. And we've invited, through the national committees, Chief Executive Officers from companies relating to our industry. And we've got over 100 CEOs who will attend this function. And really, we will explain E-cigre to them, ask them what their main issues are that we can better address, and then see how we can collaborate further in the future. That done, now it comes to the main part of the afternoon, really, is the keynote address by Audrey Zibelman. And it gives me great pleasure to read a little bit about Audrey. I must say that in selecting the keynote speaker, it's not taken lightly, and there's a lot of discussion. And the keynote speaker, to come to this event as a keynote speaker, you have to be at the really high level which Audrey is at. She's Managing Director, Chief Executive Officer of the Australian Energy Market Operator. She has extensive experience in the public, private, and not-for-profit energy and electricity sectors in the United States, most recently having held the positions of Commissioner, Chair of the New York State Public Service Commission, where she was responsible for overseeing the regulation and safety of New York's electric, gas, telephone, cable, water, and steam utilities. And she also, in her tenure at the NYPSC, she led the design and implementation of extensive regulatory and retail market changes to modernize and transform the state's electricity industry. She was also previously the Executive Vice President and Chief Operating Officer of the GO15 member. Now, GO15 is a global organization of large operators, system operators. So GO15, or member organization, PJM, a regional transmission organization responsible for operating the power grid and wholesale power market, which serves 14 states across the eastern United States. She also held legal and executive positions at Xcel Energy, served as general counsel to the New Hampshire Public Utilities Commission, special assistant to the Attorney General in the Minnesota Attorney General's office, and she's also served on numerous industry-related and non-profit boards. She has executive MBA from Carlson School of Management, Bachelor of Arts, Pennsylvania State University, Doctor of Jurisprudence degree from Hamline University, School of Law, winner of the 2016 Dive Awards. She was Policymaker of the Year by leading industry news publisher Utility Dive in November 2016. As chair of the NYPSC, she was named the winner of the 2016 Dive Awards Policy of the Year, most influential since 1990. Audrey was named in the top 20 list of the lions and luminaries who led changes in utilities in Fortnightly magazine, June 2016. Audrey, to you. Thank you.
It's delightful to be here with you, to President, Vice President, and Secretary General. It's really very much an honor to be here. And I love the introduction because I really think that this industry is at the cusp of really in the middle of massive change. And it's really a change that's happening, frankly, across all of our economies. What economists are calling the fourth industrial revolution. What I'd like to talk about today is what we need to do in the energy industry to get there. In terms of that, let me introduce you a little bit about the Australian energy market operator. We're the independent market operator for all of Australia, both the eastern and western, something that makes Australia different than many of the system operators in the US, as it's two systems. And we also operate the gas system, and we operate down to retail. So we have a great purview about everything that's happening in energy across Australia. The reason why I think this is important is because Australia has a unique proposition, even though we have one of the longest, and perhaps the longest, interconnected power system across the world. Our size of our country is the size of the United States, lower 48. We only have 26 million people. And we're seeing a rapid change in the industry structure much more quickly than anything we saw in the US. And so in many ways, what we're seeing in Australia is what I say is really the postcard to the future of what we'll always see across this energy system. So, we talk a lot in our industry about the system is transforming. But to me, a transformation happens when we're thinking about the fact that technology is changing. One of the things that I started thinking about is we're not really transforming, we're being disrupted. We're having new entrants come into our system. We're finding that there's ways to provide electricity that are very different than the industry that many of us grew up in. And what we need to do is understand how to make sure that that disruption, which could be very, very positive for the consumers we serve, does not create chaos, but instead we right the ship, we navigate it. So let's talk about what that is, because it's many factors. It's about supply, it's about demand, it's about data, it's about cybersecurity, it's about the consumer. And in Australia, we're seeing it happen all at once. So this is an example of some data around what's happening in the power sector in Australia. Think about it this way. Just a few years ago, we had 22 active generation projects that equaled 1,200 and so megawatts. Right now, we have 136 pending projects, totaling 19,000 megawatts. This is in an area where basically it's a 56,000 megawatt piece, almost a third, and it's all renewable energy. But more importantly, we had 97,000 megawatts of requested interconnections of people coming in. So we're seeing this massive change from being mostly thermal to renewables and storage and hydro. This is an example of what's happening in New South Wales, which is our largest populated state, where we're looking at almost a third of the generation changing over the next decade or two. What's happening to me is really a changed picture. Because what we're seeing in Australia, which was primarily coal, is we're going from an industry that was highly energy dense. In other words, we had units that had large footprints, but not that large, producing all of the energy, to one that's going to be much bigger. So in our recently published plan, what we're anticipating is that over the next 20 years, where we have about 70,000 terawatt hours a year of coal retiring, we're going to have to replace that with about 90,000 terawatt hours of hydro and storage, etc. So the same amount, large, but in a much bigger footprint. The footprint we're talking about is 5 times larger. Unlike many of your countries, certainly unlike New York, where property was a premium, we have the land in Australia to do that. But it's a much bigger system, it's a much different system that we're seeing that we're going to have to manage. The other piece is the change in customer behavior. One of the things that we're certainly seeing is uptake on solar. The fact that not new this year was the fact that in every 6 minutes in Australia, someone's putting solar on their roof. That's 1 in 4 Australians have solar on their rooftops. So for the first time in a generation that I've been in this industry, customers have real choice. They have the choice to actually depart from the power system if they do not see it providing value, and we're seeing an increase in storage too. So the move to a distributed network is not something that's just a policy for Australia anymore, but it's a reality. And if I didn't mention it before, the fact of the matter is one of the reasons we're seeing this change from thermal to solar and wind and hydro is that there's great parity. So investors are looking at this and they're saying that is actually not a choice just about policy, it's a choice about economics. The other aspect of that is that because of all the increases in rooftop solar and storage, even though we're seeing economic growth and huge population growth, the demand is staying flat. So for those of us in the industry for a long time, we've had to file rate cases to know what that means. We have aging infrastructure that has to be replaced at a time when the demand for energy is remaining flat, and customers are very, very price sensitive. So what do we do? How do we make sure we're optimizing that and minimizing the expense? Because the last thing we want is people to leave the grid, not for the right reason, but for the wrong reason, because we have to manage the costs. The other thing we have, in California they call it the duck curve, in Australia we call it the E-cigre curve, the black swan curve, is the fact that because of all the solar, we have very, very low demand. So we have hours during the day in South Australia where we have high penetration of rooftop solar, of demand that is below the size of the smallest generator. And so we're starting to see issues with voltage. We have issues with branding. All of the things that people talk about, we're experiencing and managing almost every day. And then the other piece, which I think is very critical, is that the power system hasn't changed. So power is obviously still remaining an essential service. We need it for our economies, but the risk is still there. And so all of the things that E-cigres work around frequency management, around voltage management, about thinking how we use these resources differently is critical. So one of the things that we're thinking about in AEMO, and I think this is what the industry needs to embrace, is it's not a matter of choice anymore. We can't, as power system operators, sit down and say, well, it won't work. Rather, we have to figure out how to make it work. How do we use things like synthetic frequency? How do we manage oscillation differently using inverters? What kind of technology acumen do we need to have? And that's the type of work that we're doing at AEMO, because frankly, not only do we not have a choice, but it's the right thing to do. And then this other aspect of our life is changing. So I spent some time, because it's winter in Australia, looking at summer in the Northern Hemisphere and thinking about what if that was my summer, what would happen? And so the other reality I think would be what I propose, the disruption that's happening in this industry is around the climate. So whether you want to talk about climate policy or not, and we know that there's lots of different views around the world, the climate effects are real. And for us, we're thinking, and I have colleagues in California, they talk about it as a 12-month bushfire season. Certainly what we saw in Greece this past summer was a wake-up call. In Australia, we do worry about bushfires, we're already seeing them. But this slide here is also showing the temperature gap. And so for us, one of the disruptions is now we're thinking about, well, how do you manage a system at 50 degrees centigrade? What will happen? What kind of degradation will we see when we have multiple heat waves? These are all the things that we're dealing with in addition to the others. And then the other piece that's changing, which really never happened in this industry before, but is critical and is really important to the fourth industrial revolution phenomenon, is the rate of change. I remember when I started a very long time ago, I shouldn't in my age, but in 1988, building a power plant was considered an 8 to 10 year period, building transmission lines. But now, with all the rooftop solar, with even grid-scale solar and wind, we're able to build power plants in less than 9 months. But at the same time, our regulatory processes still seem to take 12 months to 36 months. So thinking about how we manage that rate of change, how are we going to get through this when we're seeing the world happen quickly, but regulators and policymakers may not quite get it, is going to be one of our disruptive challenges. And then, of course, there's cybersecurity, something that we all live with every day. And as the system becomes more distributed, will often have to be managed and certainly understanding that and thinking about how to do that is still important. So in Australia, whenever you have a problem, I learned people just say easy or no worries me. So I think that we can get depressed about this, or we can get really excited about it, because I think really the point is we have a huge opportunity to make an impact. And one of my favorite sayings from the UN is that we're probably the last generation on Earth to be able to combat climate change. And I think we're the first generation of engineers who are going to be able to get us to that 21st century power system. So in terms of that, I'd like to talk a little bit about what I think are the key elements. So many of us know about the first industrial revolution when we went to mechanisms of water power, and it certainly moved to cities and manufacturing. And then the second industrial revolution, which happened really from the 1890s to the 50s, which was all about electrification and created what many say was the greatest engineering feat of the 20th century, the interconnected system. To the third industrial revolution, which is all about communication and how we move to data. One of the things that I've observed is that, in our industry, while we use data and while we use the internet, we really haven't gone to the third industrial revolution in terms of all of our capabilities. But now we're entering the fourth industrial revolution, where come to say it's really a fusion of digital and people and robotics and AI. And that is what's going to, I think, mean and affect our industry more than anything else. So let me just talk about it, because I think it's fascinating. So if you think about rate of change, we had records for 70 years. Then we went to MP3 players, which probably a lot of people in this room remember, and a lot of people in this room have no idea what we're talking about. And then we went to these devices that we use to listen to music, the sort of the devices that had songs on them. Then we went to iPhones, and they lasted 3 years, and now we're into streaming. And that's how quickly things moved. So one of the things that I think is characteristic of the fourth industrial revolution is going to be exponential speed. It's what people call Kurzweil's rule. And what the way he describes it is it's basically we'll have in the 21st century, it won't be 100 years of progress. It'll be 20,000 years of progress. And the way I think about it is this. In the communications sector, people talk about Moore's rule, which is the rate of change in terms of new solid in the movement of technology. But in Kurzweil's world, it's not just a linear change, it's a Moore's law, but it's actually exponential. And it happens under a number of different ways. One is it's dynamic. It happens constantly. We think about what's happening in robotics and AI, the words that are leading us. It's interconnected. We have 3D printing. We have a different way of doing printing that we can print in different areas. It's become so much that it's a fully integrated system where manufacturing is not in one place, but in multiple places. And it's about people. It's about people communicating and people working together, but also about biology and how we can use things like wearable machines and wearable robotics, and how that's going to change how people react and deal with things, even implanted information. And so what's changed in the fourth century is how we use data better. It's moving towards a more distributed network. We're talking about blockchain. All of those things are going to change. And the question is what do we do in the energy industry, both to accommodate and take advantage of that as we navigate our future? So to me, the most important aspect of that is the concept of systems thinking. But it's not just individual power systems. It's all of the systems that we need to do in order to manage getting us to the point where we navigate this future. So the first is in terms of the power system itself. Now, one of the things that we worked on in New York, and this was the post-Sandy, if you remember the major hurricane in New York, we've all had those, is we realized that we couldn't leave Manhattan underwater for 2 weeks, ever again. It's scary, it's frightening, it's dangerous, and it's not the way our society should be. So we needed to move towards a distributed system. We had no choice but to create that two-way capability, and we had to think about the power system very differently. And that's essentially what we're also doing in Australia. We have to use distributed resources. We have to create that two-way optimization. But we can't think about the power system anymore as just simply about moving electrons. It's also about moving data. So one of the characteristics of the third industrial revolution is the concept of a platform company, something like Google, something like your credit card, anything that you can use that connects customers to providers. Well, in a sense, electric utilities are the ultimate platform companies, and a fully integrated utility that goes from generation to the consumer and takes data as well as supply to do full optimization is really taking advantage of all of the resources they have available to optimize the system every moment of every day. And to do that, data doesn't just become a resource for the utility, but it actually becomes a resource we have to provide because we are really the ultimate converter of data to information that we're going to be using to run these power systems. The other aspect are market systems. And one of the things that I think is so important is we have to be fearless in the industry. We have to talk about this. It is a radical change. It's no longer just an incremental change in resources. And when you think about it, the design of power markets in the 1990s, those of us that liberalized markets, around the idea that all resources generally have the same characteristics. And we're looking at the marginal cost of the last resource to hit demand that would be cheapest. And that's how we would dispatch it, and we would use command and control dispatching to get there. Now, we're looking at power systems that are very different. We have products such as wind and solar that have zero marginal cost, that provide therefore very cheap energy. And then we have other resources that we need to actually manage the power system. So we need to start thinking about how we're going to do this, because as I look around Europe, as I look around the US, everyone's struggling to figure out how to fit the current resources into the power markets we design. When I think fourth industrial revolution thinking, will say, well, wait a minute. If you have zero marginal cost resources, how do you take advantage of them in the most maximum way possible, something that I know that China's thinking about, and then how do you run a system to maximize the value of these resources to people? And in doing so, then, what is the role of the markets? And I think it is time, I think, for us to all step back a little bit and say, can we do this better? Do we try to fit into the current design, or do we try to step back and look at a new design if we have a chance? The other piece is around data systems. And this is how we can use AI differently, how we use information differently. So for us, because we have so much renewables in our system, we are starting to use different forms of intelligence, smart intelligence, because weather has become our largest resource, our largest fuel source in many times, to make sure that we're managing the system in the most efficient way possible. But if you think about the points of data that we're going to be managing, from our perspective, is we went from the customer, we went from 6 points of data in 2010. So when we're talking about DER and batteries, 100,000 data points in real time that we're going to be managing at AEMO in the 500 markets in the next several years. So leveraging how we use data, using distributed resources, thinking about how we use blockchain differently, will all become, I think, part of managing the power system in the future. We simply can't control all those devices. We're going to have to use a distributed architecture. Then the other aspect is business systems. One of the things that we learned through Silicon Valley and digitalization and other parts of the economy is that it's not so much about cost anymore. It's really about providing value. And so how do you provide value to consumers and changing the way how you think about consumers so that it's not anymore about how someone is meeting the needs of the power system, but how is the power system meeting the customer's needs? Because if the customer's not happy, they can fall. And that's never happened before in an economic way. So we're trying to think very much about consumer focus. How do we bring customers in? How do we provide value? Even with new developers, new entrepreneurs, it's really thinking about partnering with customers much differently than we did before. And actually, again, for those of us who come from regulated environments, really thinking about it not certainly not as ratepayers anymore, but really as a partner, someone we have to add value to. And the other aspect is how we relate. So one of the things that I certainly learned in thinking about these things going forward is where utilities, when we were fully vertically integrated with generation and transmission and distribution, everyone we worked with was a vendor. Well, we can't afford to think about that in that way anymore. There's a lot of things that we're going to need to learn about digitalization, about using data, about how we use information, about how we work with customers, that we're going to need partners. And that's going to be partnerships with entrepreneurs. It's going to be partnerships with each other. It'll be partnerships such as E-cigre or 15, where we learn. But understanding that a new way of doing business is actually sharing information horizontally and vertically, and being in it together is really new for this industry. But certainly beginning to New York, and our distribution utilities will becoming distribution system operators, and we're getting rewarded for helping them using DER better to reduce costs. But they learn very quickly. They had to stop changing their own mind, their own thinking, and think about these entities who are coming in as not someone selling them something, but someone helping them do their job better. And that is a very different way for us to do business. Then the other thing that I think has to be made really important, unfortunately, is to think about this as investment. Because what we've learned in Australia, and I think we've learned in other areas where there's large amounts of area of renewable energy, we need to have investment in power grid. The super grid here, the big grid, it's all going to be central. The work we're doing on high voltage DC. And so part of this is recognition is, again, as we move from the power system that used to be highly energy concentrated to one that's more distributed, having power, taking advantage of diversity, taking advantage of both weather diversity and time diversity, and also being able to balance that is going to be important. So we're really moving to a much different kind of segment. And the other aspect that I think is critical is regulatory. So I've been for just both regulators and operators. And one of the things that happens in this industry is one of the most highly regulated industries. And yet, if the industry itself had a hard time navigating through the third industrial revolution, unfortunately, and I say this with lots of love, our regulators seem to still be in the second industrial revolution. And we need to help them move forward. And I don't mean that as a criticism, because these processes were set up for very, very stable industries. It took a long time to build and do that. And so working at this rate of change is different for this regulatory construct. So we in the industry, if we're going to help navigate this change, have to be willing to partner with our regulators and bring them along on the journey. That means for us, thinking about how do we use demonstration projects better, how do we use that entrepreneurial rather than doing everything all at once, so that we become more agile in how we do work. We try things, we fail fast, we move on. Those are all those things that are really foreign to the regulatory environment that are going to be essential to the future, and it's important that the regulators become part of that conversation. And then, not by far the last is people. So one of the things I'm struck with is the differences in the type of people who are entering into this industry. I think that the power industry is, for this decade, is the same thing that the IT industry was in the 90s. It's a place where people want to go. It's a place where you have to attract the best and the brightest. Because the people who are going to be navigating through this are, unfortunately, not people like me, but people who are much younger. And they're looking for something very different in their life. They're looking for that 4-item company where data is used, where information is used, and those are the folks that we need. So in AEMO, I'm sure all of you would think about people who are in their 20s and 30s and entering the workforce and how we get the best and brightest. So let me show you a little bit of the video that we have in our best and brightest. But what's critical to me is, as a CEO of this organization, I feel like it's our obligation to change our industry to attract those bright minds so that we can navigate forward, because they are the tools of our future. Let me play this.
I'm really excited about working in the energy industry because I think there's such a huge disparity around the world of what energy looks like.
A lot of different people have different interests in it. You've got environmental, economic and social and political.
Personally, I really love working on a challenging problem with new and interesting tools.
Energy and energy policy has an impact on other areas that are very dear to my heart, particularly in terms of development economics.
Because the sector is changing at the moment, there are new business models, there's new technology. It gives me a lot of opportunities to do the kind of work that I really enjoy.
I always saw myself working in an area where I can make a positive impact on the lives of many, and working in the energy industry I've realised that I've definitely got the potential to do so. Everything's changing so quickly. You've got to get everyone to be working together.
There are a lot of other people who are incredibly passionate, incredibly talented and incredibly driven.
And I'm excited to be part of that, team to leave an impact on society.
Which will hopefully uplift their quality of life as well as create new jobs locally. And that's why I'm really excited about working in energy.
Thank you very much. This is really, I think, one of the best times to be in this industry. I'm really happy to see the changes around E-cigre. I think it's critical. For someone who's not a career, frankly, and spent somewhere in Africa, dealing with people who didn't have power, recognizing how we need to move this industry forward is really the best thing that I think we can all do. And thank you again for the opportunity.
Thank you very much, Audrey, for a very interesting presentation, and it highlights the issues not only in Australia but also in other parts of the world where this kind of renewable type of generation, the changing zero fuel cost generation coming in, and this makes it so much more interesting for our industry, and it's really an opportunity you can actually get involved in almost any aspect of economics, market design, blockchain, data, cyber, all affecting the industry. And just as a small token of our appreciation, Audrey, would you please mind just coming and receiving a small gift from us? We now move on to the next stage in this session, and these are just the awards. And we felt it's really important to share with you, the delegates and E-cigre members, those few members that have really excelled over the past 2 years. And the awards are decided by a panel, independent panel. There are nominations with quite strict criteria as how to they put the information forward, and to obtain these awards is not an easy task, and you have to have done an enormous amount of contribution to the industry, to electrical and engineering, and also then, of course, to E-cigre. So it gives me great pleasure to start with the first, the honorary members, of which there are 7, and I'd like to ask if they could come up one by one to receive their award. Thank you. The first is Kresimir Bakic from Slovenia. Thank you. The next from Denmark, Jørgen Christensen. The next is Hiroki Ito from Japan. Then from Australia, Terry Krieg. Then from France, Yves. And then from the United States, we have Andrew Ott. And then from Brazil, Ione. The honorary members were as chairman of study committees or people that have done a lot of work within the technical council or within the industry as a whole. So congratulations to the honorary members. We now move on to a category of fellow, which is again those that have done exceptional work within the study committees, working groups, and organizations within E-cigre. And I'd like to start with Peter. Then from the Netherlands, Anton Janssen. Then from Canada, Giza, yours. And from Italy, Massimo. And from Croatia is Ivo. And then we have the highest award that E-cigre can offer is the E-cigre Medal. And there are only two that are elected. And for this, you need to really almost walk on water for E-cigre, I would say. But the two that are awards that we will give tonight, I think have accomplished that. And I would like to ask them, when they do come up, just to say a few words to the delegates here. So the first winner of the 2018, or winner or award of the E-cigre Medal is Clark Ellings from the United States.
they told me to pick any picture from my library that I felt was befitting the occasion. So 2 points I'd like to make really quickly. So for me, it's been nearly 40 years with E-cigre, and probably I spent most of that time on two important subjects. One was a recognition that the power system is a whole hell of a lot more than the bulk power system that most of you have spent your lives dealing with. And in fact, as already has been pointed out by other speakers, it's really everything from generation through storage to the point of end use, and I'd even extend that very definitely all the way through the point of end use in revolutions in this industry that we haven't yet even seen. And the other thing is marketing E-cigre, because it's its own best-kept secret. And we all know how difficult it is to talk about E-cigre to industry executives, and they look at you with a funny expression. Unless they're engineers, which fewer and fewer of them are, they never heard of it, and you're trying to communicate its value, and then you turn back to the literature and you find really very few references to the excellent work that E-cigre has already done. So that's what I've spent a great deal of my time doing, and I've enjoyed every bit of it. Thank you.
Thank you, Clark. And the second recipient of the E-cigre medal is Klaus Fröhlich from Switzerland, previous past president.
Thank you, Rob. Before I talk about this award, I think, and I feel entitled as a former president of E-cigre, to give my compliments and congratulations to Rob and his team, how fast they're pushing E-cigre forward for the benefit of the association. Thank you, Rob. Thank you, gentlemen. Well, as Clark, I'm also active in E-cigre for 40 years, and during this time, I met a lot of wonderful people in various positions, in working groups, in study committee, in the technical committee, in the technical council, and I have to say, I was lucky, I was privileged to meet these colleagues, women and men, who supported me, who assisted me, and we worked together in a very good spirit for many, many tasks and projects. And so I would like to thank all of you who I was really privileged to work with. And there's another thing which is not directly connected to this award, but I'd like to take this opportunity to point out one thing. If we consider E-cigre has, you may have already realized, at least those who know the association very well, that it has a strong social component. I am really convinced that without this social component, we are having the voluntary work where all our delegates, our experts are working in, would not come out as it is as successful as we really are as an association. And this social component has other people who are active, silently active in E-cigre. These are not the engineers. These are the wives, the partners of our experts. And I dare to say that these partners, wives, have a strong contribution to the success of our association as they help us out in the getting together. And my wife, for example, is a good example. She always helps me, and she is my memory, because I never can remember names, but she knows all the names of our colleagues and the wives of the colleagues. So thank you, Maria, for this. And of course, thank all the wives partners for contributing to E-cigre in your wonderful way. One last thing I want to express is that during my presidency in E-cigre, I learned how efficient and what kind of good people, women and men, we have in the central office who keep the association running and successful as it is now. This starts with the Secretary General, thank you, Philip, and of course, your staff in the central office. Thank you, and thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you very much, Klaus. Just before we finish off, I'd just like to introduce to you those gentlemen sitting on the stage. Closest to me is Marcio, who's the incoming Technical Council Chairman. So that's a person who is in charge of all the study committee chairmen, and the study committee chairmen form part of the Technical Council, which is really the engine room, you could say, of E-cigre. And Marcio will take office from this Tuesday. Next to Marcio is Michel Organet, who's our treasurer. And I'm glad to say that he has kept fairly tight reins, and our finances are looking a lot more healthy than they were a couple of years ago. Then on the far side, we have Mark Waldron, who's the current Technical Council Chair, and he has successfully run the Technical Council over the last 4 years? 4 years. And next to Mark is Philippe, who, as Klaus mentioned, is the Secretary General, and we have very dedicated staff in the E-cigre Central Office who actually arranged this amazing event and, in fact, deal with all the national committees and members from around the world. With that, I would then like to get to an important invitation where you can come and join us for a welcome drink. And as Klaus said, the social aspects of E-cigre are actually quite important because they relate to a lot of the networking. If you know a person personally, it's a lot easier to get a reply from him on email when you need an answer quickly on a technical issue. And with that, I would wish you a very successful week, and I hope to see you at the E-cigre sessions around during the week. Thank you very much.